Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. You guys know the drill. There is no second best live YouTube stream to talk about markets. There's also no second best intro music before a live stream to talk about markets. You guys can't see it before we go live, but I'm always dancing. We're always dancing to that tune. Regardless, welcome back, guys. And this is, I think, especially true. It is pouring snow outside of my apartment today. We head deep into winter and Q4. We are almost into 2026. Have you enjoyed 2025, Anon? Well, rest assured, we're gonna talk about what we expect to happen into the end of the year and obviously into 2026. But first, I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Moisturized Check, Brady, Jackus, and of course, Max. Welcome, guys. We're going to have a great show for you guys today. Like I said, we're going to dissect kind of what we're thinking into the end of the month. Is this Bitcoin rally that we've seen over the last, I think, 24 to 48 hours a sticking point for higher prices and continued rally from a lot of these altcoins that I think have shown quite a bit of strength over the last day or so? Or is this potentially another sweep of the highs before we go lower? For a long time, it was another sweep of the lows. Are we now into another sweep of the high regime? But we've also been joined by Prometheus. Oh, I accidentally kicked him out. We're having some issues getting him up here. But before we can get started and talking about all of your favorite market stuff, guys, I'm gonna need you to hit the like button. Let's run it up. It is a beautiful week. It is a beautiful month. Why not run up the like button on today? Let's get to triple digits. I remember when we were asking for like 400 or 500 likes a few months ago, or like a year ago. It has been a bear market of the like button, but rest assured, we are getting ready for a reversal bottom. That much I am certain of. All right, let me get serious. Let me talk about what the market's been doing for the last 24 to 48 hours, because we didn't get to see you guys yesterday. And on Monday, obviously, we had some very red candles. I mean, I think Bitcoin and ETH were probably down -4 to 5, -6 to 7%. Yesterday was basically the opposite, right? We ate up that dip. We swept the highs overnight in Asia session, from the highs from Thanksgiving, that is. And now I know everybody's kind of asking, all right, well, the low from Monday, or I guess the low from like Tuesday evening, was that a higher low before higher prices, a continued rally for all the coins, specifically altcoins, which you can see every time Bitcoin looks like it's ready to put in a larger rally, these altcoins look very, very prime, very, very perky. So we do know at some point when Bitcoin does give us that extended rally, you're going to see these altcoins really run and perform. The question is that now, are we going to see Bitcoin recover? I don't really assign a super high probability to that personally, but at the very least, we could see Bitcoin range from here in a very large range, right? And if that's the case, you do have your scenario, of course, for big altcoin bounces and outperformance over the next few weeks. Of course, the flip side of that is, if this is a reversal point, probably not where you want to be getting long altcoins. Bitcoin could be heading lower. After all, the trend for the last 2 to 2.5 months has been lower pricing. So we will see what Bitcoin does. I do think to some extent we can take some signal from things like Zcash and obviously Hyperliquid as well, which have been our market leaders for the last few months. Hyperliquid for even longer than that. If Hyperliquid is going to be breaking out to go higher, you probably will see these extended rallies play out. But if Hyperliquid is about to break down, I have to assume that we're likely about to see Bitcoin do the same. That's just my stance, though. I mean, equities just kind of continue to go sideways for the last few days. There's not really much to say about those at the moment. But how are we doing, guys? What are we seeing in the markets? Does anybody else have as much snow outside of their window as I do right now? Yes.
I wish we only have dark. It's already dark in here. But Jesus, there was something I wanted to react on. And I was like, I need to write it down. I'm sure I'm going to forget it. And of course, I forgot it. So.
I yap too much. I'm sorry. I'll blame
No, your intros are unmatched. Like, there is no better intro and outro guy than Tommy. I'm telling you. So there is no jumping in. It's totally on me.
There is no second best.
There's no second best, Tommy.
Is this my fave jacket? It might be. It might be.
Looks like a comfy jacket.
It's very comfy. And I needed to be warm. I had to go get coffee this morning. I did make the mistake, though, of I walked outside wearing my Birkenstocks. I didn't even think twice about it. And one of my shoes flew off. That wasn't fun. But yeah, if I'm going out in the snow, man, at the very least, I need to be warm.
My fiance this morning, we got a bunch of snow here, and it turned to ice last night, and she almost completely fell on her face this morning going out to the car.
It's that time of the year, man.
Yep.
I wish we had some snow, but all we get in Europe is mud lately.
So what are you guys thinking about the price action that we've seen this week, right? Because like I said, on Monday, we had a very aggressive move down. Tuesday, we got our typical Tuesday mean reversion and then some. We completely ate up the dip, made new highs. Is this a sweep of those highs, or are we potentially looking at a more prolonged rally here? And as a byproduct of that, some altcoins having some momentum kickstarted for potentially larger moves north.
I think today and tomorrow is pretty important. Sorry, go ahead, Jackus. You got it.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I still think that the momentum, remains bearish, but obviously the market isn't. This is what I was saying. The market will not give it easily to bears. Like there will be stop hunts. The trend after all the sell-off makes more sense than not to bounce, at least to some degree. I don't think it's going to be like 3-4 months bounce that we saw in Q1 of 2022, but some bounce makes sense. But yeah, the momentum still for now remains to be bearish. So that's kind of that.
Yeah, it is. That is Jackus. I thought we were already pretty clear on that is Jackus.
It is.
He's a handsome fella. I mean, nice beard, good head of hair, very tan.
That's what you made.
He's so moisturized, he's moisturized Czech Brady, Yeah.
I'm getting tan from all the red on the charts, man. Like so much tan. They said that the red light is good for you.
Red light therapy. Just whole screen is just lit up red.
Moisturize red light therapy, man.
I am cautiously optimistic here for the short term. I think that a lot of altcoins look like they're trying to base out a bit. Not all of them, but some of them. And I also look at a chart like Total 2. And to me, Total 2, I actually tweeted this out right before the show, a rare max tweet. Okay.
They're very rare these days.
They are rare, and I'm hoping that they're interpreted as more valuable because they've become more scarce with time. But I had to do it in order to maintain my my sanity. Twitter just got so dark so quickly, man. But yeah, I tweeted it out. I said, I think that Total 2 looks like it's trying to do something. That's not a call for new all-time highs and a raging bull market immediately. But I think if you look at how much selling happened in October, starting with the October 10th massacre, arguably the worst event we've seen since FTX, if not maybe even worse because of where it happened. If we start at kind of October 10th and look at all the selling that has occurred from October 10th, basically through the entirety of November, I look at total 2 and I say, even for a dead cat bounce, even for like a little rebalancing higher, a 15 to 20% move on something like total 2 could yield 3, 4, 500% moves on some shit coins that look floored out that are down 95 to 98%. So I think that there's a certain buoyancy that we're seeing down here, where if we are going to break down, we're going to have to trap some more longs first, and that will probably come in a little bit higher. I'm not so confident Bitcoin even gets back over 100K if we do move up. So like, just understand what I'm saying. But I think there is potential for a little bit of mean reversion or dead cat bounce or just a Santa rally, right? Whatever you want to call it. Something that is different now over the past something that is different now that wasn't here over the past, couple months. I think I would consider myself here to be very cautiously optimistic, not screaming bull, but I think there actually are some plays for upside here and some potentially big upside, if I'm being honest, in certain names. But just understand what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't want people to take it out of context, and people love to twist what you're saying. Don't twist it. Just listen. All right. Don't twist it. Don't put your own interpretation on what I'm saying. I'm meaning exactly what I'm saying. Short-term window for now of potentially some very big upside on certain names over the next, let's just call it 3 to 4 week window. And then we reassess and see what things look like. And if I'm wrong, I think that there's a pretty clear like invalidation below. Like, you shouldn't be breaking down and putting in a new low. You should actually kind of just start moving up from about here. Honestly, you nuked off the December 1st open. A lot of short delta came in. Hell of a squeeze yesterday. We should start to see follow through like from here. We shouldn't really have to go back down. The trap was set within the first like 3 hours of the monthly open. That should be enough to propel us higher from here if we are going to move a little bit higher. But those are generally my thoughts. Like, don't twist it. Just hear what I'm saying. Window of time, cautiously optimistic. I think there's some big bounces coming on altcoins, but that doesn't mean go be a complete idiot about it.
Yeah, to Max's point with Total 2 specifically, if you look at Total 2 and what's been the primary driver of that chart in particular, it's not like the most high beta, shit coins on the watch list. It's actually primarily just ETH, BNB, Sol, and XRP. And so if you think that, okay, we're going to be getting potentially a bounce here in the markets and, Total 2 does look bullish, and we've seen a real lack of breadth in the market. I mean, that's been very, very, very clear just from structurally. If you look at Bitcoin versus a lot of these other altcoins, Bitcoin actually broke its weekend highs or its Friday high, where most of these altcoins are, structurally still very much so in a high time frame downtrend. And so if you look at it from that viewpoint, your safer bet here, in my opinion, is actually playing majors to the long side. I've talked about it quite a bit in the Discord where, real high beta altcoins, I'm only looking to buy if Bitcoin is in a high time frame structural uptrend, or you see Bitcoin at or near price discovery or all-time highs. It's one of the two for me. It's very simple and or I'm keeping it very simple right now. And I just want to make that clear for the audience and the people listening that if Total 2 looks great, that does not mean every shitcoin does well. I actually think the shitcoins that'll do well are the ones that are probably, have the largest amount of short positioning as of right now. And if you look at Pengu, for instance, yesterday, Pengu was up like 30% yesterday at one point, just because of all the shorts that got squeezed out of it. And so if you can find those like names that B&B wants to harvest, you probably do pretty well. But other than that, being pretty selective here in regards to long positioning, in my opinion, is going to be pretty important. Seems like we're accepting above value right now. If you take an anchored VWAP from our highs, I mean, I can screen share here real quick. That way we can visualize what's going on here locally speaking on the chart. But, you know, Bitcoin locally does look decent. You have to be very, very, very careful, though, that if you start accepting below 90K, you know, we have some big, big, big issues here that are, you know, at hand. So we have our anchored VWAP from our POI at 108. We are now above the VWAP from that point. That is pretty significant acceptance above value here, locally speaking, in confluence with our weekly volume range profiles. We had 2 stacked POCs from the previous weeks. Pretty harsh flush on this weekly open, but it seems like we're reclaiming value here kind of across the board. For bulls, you don't want to lose 90K. I think if you can, that's why I said today and tomorrow is going to be pretty important. If you can remain up here, value then seems to be accepted. And I would be looking for price to do something along these lines, probably come up into like 98. Look for some form of rejection above that daily POI and this liquidity that we have stacked between 95 and 98. Look for rejection distribution within that area. Look to stack shorts. And the reason why I look to stack shorts there is because on the higher time frame, this is an unstable low. And what do I mean by that? This is not a significant structural low on the chart. You know, if we look at any one of our high time frame, you know, significant structural lows across the board, you know, typically it's taken, generally speaking, a few months of value to be built at those regions before you can really call for, you know, okay, this is a high time frame structural low. As of right now, sure, we came into demand. We had, you know, passive buyers. We had, you know, buyers stepping into the market. You're now in a very thin, you know, liquidity is still very thin. It's very obvious after what happened Monday and yesterday. But as of right now, this is not a, you know, high time frame structural low, in my opinion, where you see smart money and institutions, you know, one, you know, scooping up and accumulating, and two, from a sentiment perspective, we talked about it a few times, but people are still so eager to buy. And if you remember the bear market lows of 22, I mean, my job at that current time, I was having people come up to me who were like 65 years old talking about SPF and how crypto's dead and how they knew it was, you know, a Ponzi scheme and all of that. We are not even close to that yet. So sentiment wise and structurally, this does not make sense, in my opinion, for a low to be set here, but I will quit yapping.
I actually heard, like, I truly think we are very so much with the 2022 bonds that we got in the Q1, because there is some people already, like I saw some like newspaper lady from US, I suppose she's very recognized, saying live how crypto is a scam, and that's a good sign. But I absolutely agree with you, Prometheus, that there is still so many people looking to, you know, for like longs, or like still looking for excuses how the momentum didn't shift to bearish. And make no mistake, anything can happen in the markets, and we can truly like run to new all-time highs from here. Like anything can happen, but it always comes to probabilities. And so this situation so much reminds me with that Q1 2022. I don't think we get like exactly the same type of price action. That just doesn't happen. But back then, the sentiment was the same. Some people were saying like it's really bad, and some people were saying how it's really still all right, how we gonna rally back to new all-time highs from there. So like in that sense, it's very, very much the same. That's, by the way, also lots of people obviously don't remember stuff, but that's when Capo really got in bearish in that Q1 2022. we were actually DMing together back then. He was asking me like, "Hey, this looks really bad," and I was telling him, "Yeah, I think we're going to have sub the May lows, right? Like sub 30K. There's so much liquidity sitting down there." And he really like kept on banging and sort of really ran up his account to big numbers back then. But lots of people still didn't want to believe it, that the sentiment or that the trend has shifted. And so looking at today's times, obviously things are unique. Things can, and I think will happen differently. I don't think we get like a 3-4 months time frame bounce, but I see lots of similar structure and lots of similar sentiment in that regard. So obviously without the 2021 alt season that we got, we didn't really get that. But when it comes to BTC, it's really similar in lots of stuff. It's very similar.
No, I remember pretty distinctly, Jackus. I'm glad you pointed that out. Like back in 2022, everybody was kind of saying very similar things to what they're saying now, which is like, oh, everybody called the top together. And the reality is like most people don't realize that we're in a bull or a bear market until most of the move has already played out. And I think that's especially true for bear markets because obviously prices have a natural tendency to drift higher over time. And it takes like a really significant even when you have like structural breaks, people just kind of assume that it's going to revert higher because that's what it has been doing for the last few years. And it's usually not until even I remember arguing with people back in it wasn't BB back then, but it was like Wabi Spaces when we were trading at 30K and everybody was like 30K is going to hold again. 30K is going to hold again. You're crazy for thinking 30K is not going to hold or not going to hold because it held in the summer of 2021. And I felt like a crazy person back then because the structure was so fugly, right? Like I couldn't even imagine structure like holding 30K. And obviously we ended up dropping like 50% after that. So that I would say like the bear market wasn't accepted until that like 30 to 17K leg down on Bitcoin. People were fighting it, I think, the whole way down, just as they will probably do the same, over the next few weeks and months, and as bears did over the last few years. That's just kind of the nature of trends.
Yep. Yeah, lots of, and I said this, lots of normie guys who are like very basic at TA that that I follow even from Czech or so. They think that the market structure on BTC really breaks down below the April lows, and that's fair, but on the monthly. But they think that it breaks there on the weekly, and that's really the tough situation with market structure. Like the way where people fuck it up is on time frames. And so there is still lots of people who think that we are still producing a higher low, generally speaking. And again, we like totally could. You want to be ready for that outcome as well. But technically the structure was broken sub 100K on the weekly, and the momentum flipped bearish monthly, below yearly open. You see it everywhere. So the point I'm trying to say is that there is lots of people who have not accepted the bearish side, and usually the market want to flip basically all market participants before reversing. So what I'm trying to say is that the market is still, in my opinion, wanting to do it sub the April lows, but we shall see.
I feel like we kind of have to fish below the April lows on Bitcoin, but I guess the market doesn't have to do anything, right? I was saying this on the morning call earlier today. Yeah. It's like you never want to say that anything is impossible, especially when it comes to crypto, because the space always continues to break tendencies that it had in the past and surprise us. And that's not to say like Tommy's calling for a V recovery, because I'm not doing that, but I think you always kind of have to have like that that like shred of doubt that just it is Bitcoin on any given day. It really does need no reason. I think you can attribute most of that to equities, though, right? Because equities have been so strong. We've been kind of asking, like, is crypto bluffing or are stocks bluffing in the sense that they haven't sold off yet? And I guess we won't really know until equities finally break in one direction from here. But
yeah, I think the only thing that is throwing me off a little bit about my higher time frame thoughts, because I think there's probably a more likely chance than not that we do take out that April low. I think it's pretty obvious. There's a lot of volume down there. Like Prometheus has a nice volume profile drawn there. We don't have to, but I think if this scenario was run 100 times, it would probably take out that low, at least a majority, but 60 out of 100 times. Like, it doesn't have to happen, but usually I think it will. The only thing that's throwing me off is that the amount of 2022 fractals I'm seeing is really throwing me off. Like, I'm not usually one to put all of my weight into like the sentiment of what kind of an echo chamber of CT is saying, but a lot of people are convinced that we are going to 2022 shoulder, maybe see 104, 105 at the most, and then just die, right? And I remember distinctly last cycle, not a single human being on CT. And it was only humans back then. There were no AI bots, if I can remember correctly.
it was good back then. No
It
AI.
was good. Take me back, man. It was a lot simpler back then. There was not a single person that was expecting that shoulder to play out, man. Nobody was expecting a double top into some sort of shoulder, okay? A lot of people were calling the first drop from 64K that we had in the summer of 2021. A lot of people were expecting us to roll over and die from there. But it was not consensus that the cycle top was in, okay? It is genuinely consensus that the cycle is over and it's done. Like, that's consensus. I think some people are maybe expecting bounces, but I don't know. I'm holding out that somehow, some way, we're all pleasantly surprised and we do see the death of the 4-year cycle and we do somehow see new highs. I think there's a lot of work to be done. And again, it's not exactly my base case that we recover from here and go to new highs. Certainly not. But I'm really hoping that I can be pleasantly surprised, because I feel like it's a crowded idea that we get like one more shoulder and then we're dead. Like, that feels to me to be consensus, if I'm being honest. So
that's why I think we don't get like a 3-4 months bounce.
Yeah.
People in 2021 were, or sorry, 22 in that bounce. During that low, not many expected the bounce, but after it sort of started to play out, people were, I would say it was like 50-50, or like people saw that there is still chance for recovery. And as Tolme said, when the consensus kind of became that, yeah, it's a bear market when it broke below that 30K.
Yeah. I agree with both of you, though.
I think when I think there is still lots of people right now who think that this can be saved, and it totally can. But I think the market usually does tend to flip those. I don't think, though, we get 3-4 months bounce and then 1-year bear market. I just don't think that's going to be the case.
I think another reason that I don't expect something like that, Jackus, is because of how different now is versus coming out of 2021. Like, people were so much wealthier coming out of 2021 still. Even at that shoulder, I think that people, like the wealth destruction event in 2022 was really the Luna crash. That's when people just got absolutely eviscerated on altcoins because they went down like 90% in the span of like 6 weeks. And now, you know, we've kind of already had these, like, we've had multiple wealth destruction events over the last 18 months. So I just don't think that, I don't think a big reason why that shoulder formed, in my opinion, was because you still had big players and probably even big retail that still had the money to be able to support the market, that were trying to create a floor.
Yeah.
And this time, it's very different.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, you go and you look at flows. I mean, flows are completely anemic from an institutional perspective right now. And that's been the driver this entire cycle. So you take out that variable, you know, I mean, you've now lost the most important piece of the pie in regards to, you know, your formula for driving this market right now. And I talked about this a long time ago. I mean, my ultimate thesis is that the ETF pump is going to be entirely retraced. I don't know if this is too bearish, but if you look post 80s at gold, which, I mean, we can go look at, you know, after you had the, you know, institutional bid in the 80s in gold, what happened to it after that? You know, I mean, it did nothing for 2 decades. You know, I mean, I'd hate to say it, but I mean, the biggest pain trade for, you know, the hyper gamblers of this generation would be for this asset class to go into a prolonged bear market for an extended period of time. You know, that's unfortunately, that is what it is. Yeah, unfortunately, it is what it is. And this is kind of an idea I've been playing with at the back of my mind, is like, I mean, outside, I mean, when you have JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and, you know, the whole institutional basket recommending asset allocation for an asset class, what comes after that? There is nothing, right? That's the biggest liquidity flows, I mean, there is in financial markets. I mean, there's literally nothing bigger, right?
Central banks.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, do we really?
Let me ask you this, Prometheus. I mean, that same logic could be just applied to like equities as well, though, or real estate. They've been recommending other products like commodities, stocks, bonds, real estate for multiple decades, and they still continue to go higher, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I think too, if you look at like real estate in particular, the amount of leverage that's been baked into that market in particular has allowed it to really flourish in a manner and in a way in which, you know, the reason why, I mean, gold, for instance, is one of the like least leveraged asset classes there are. You know, equities, again, high leverage. You know, the growth that we've seen in derivative markets has been tremendous. I mean, the S&P, I think like 40 to 45% of the flows are options flows, right? From a daily perspective. And I think if you can continue to bake, I mean, which this asset class is primarily leverage driven, let's be real. If you can just continue to, you know, bake more leverage into the system, who knows? But yeah, it's just, and I mean, maybe that's a very salient point. You know, I think it's something I maybe didn't take into my thought process was, you know, leverage wasn't baked into gold, you know, following the pump that we had into, you know, 1980. And that's why it largely saw sheer underperformance versus the rest of, you know, all the other asset classes. And maybe that's something that crypto doesn't have to deal with. You know, it's just the continued cross collateralization of the asset class into equity markets with more and more investment products and tools, which I'm sure will be coming down the pipeline. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. This is not my base case, by the way. It's more so just something I was kind of playing with in the back of my mind. Interesting little thought experiment.
I think the most bullish thing for crypto, or even like the most preventative thing from a extended bear market, is that we know what the crisis response is going to be if we get one. You know, equity, if crypto is going to continue to sell off, it's almost surely going to be met with some major downside from equity markets, because as we've seen history tell us, if crypto's selling off a few weeks or months in advance of equities, they typically catch up, and they typically do the whole move like in one go. Crypto gets its final leg down with equities, and then they both bottom. But what is the crisis response when equities sell off? Is it to let there be an extended bear market? No. It's a national security issue at this point. I truly do believe that is the case, for there to be an extended bear market. So the crisis response will be printing. I think you're just going to start having these, at least in equities, these faster boom and bust cycles, kind of like an accelerated version of what we've seen realistically over the last like 7 to 8 years, since the first Trump administration. So, I don't really expect that to change. And as a byproduct of that, it's really difficult for me to see, like, it's easy for me, for one, to see like some coins not coming back, right? Where they kind of just look like a Matic, for example, that even when crypto went through these like multiple large wealth cycles over the last few years, it just ended up making higher time frame, lower highs. I can see a lot of coins doing that. And as we've talked about on this show, I think that's actually a big positive for the space in the long run, that capital is allocated more efficiently. But things like the majors, the ones that do have these passive bids, and I want to point out, like the Vanguard ETFs, or that Vanguard was finally allowing their clients to trade Bitcoin. We got 5 billion in ETF volume yesterday. So clearly there is demand from Vanguard. I don't know that the passive hand of demand is larger than the current hand of supply throughout the market right now, but I think that can certainly change at lower prices. And I think those passive flows are largely going to prevent a bear market, like an extended, we're talking like very long-term bear market and things like Bitcoin, and harder to predict beyond Bitcoin. But
can I throw one like schizo take into the mix here? I've been seeing a lot of chatter about like no income tax from, I guess, Trump, and some like a lot of headlines around that. I don't think he specified whether that was cap gains or just like W-2 income. And I'm sure there will still be a bunch of crap like Social Security and whatever in there for people in the US. But that could potentially, if that did happen, and I don't think it's super likely, even if he's saying it, but I think if that did happen, I think that could potentially ignite something major, right? I mean, major. Suddenly everybody in America that's getting a paycheck suddenly has like between 10 and 40% more dollars to spend than they did previously. And a lot of that's going to flow into investments, right? Oh, instead of contributing $1,000 a month to my stock portfolio, I'm gonna double it. Now it's 2,000, right? That could be a major, major catalyst, right? And I also kind of think, just given Trump's familial ties with crypto and these crypto businesses now, he's going to try to somehow work in there, like, if you hold crypto for over a certain amount of time, then there's like, it's not just long-term to short-term cap gains. Maybe then it's like non-taxable over 2 years or 3 years or something, because it would directly benefit his family. Now, do I think it's super likely? I do not, but I don't think it's 0%. Okay. He still is the president. He is talking about it. It's not 0%. It's not super likely, but it's not 0%. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, zero income tax is huge.
No,
Or even it doesn't have to be 0. It can just be 5%, but like something like that.
I think it's such a like short-sighted thing to do. I mean, it's going to be extremely beneficial for the markets for like 5 years, no doubt.
It'd be so fun, bro. It'd be
Yeah,
so epic.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, it would be like 21 on crack. I mean, you would see like the sneaker market, like people are paying like $50,000 for a pair of Balenciagas. Like, you know, I mean, every market would just light up because you're increasing how far people's paychecks goes, which is the most stimulative thing for all markets, right? Is for the middle class to be able to spend. And if you're able to do that, I mean, that's huge. But for like the long term, reducing revenue but increasing spending in the government that's a big yikes.
Well, I think the reason they're able to do it is because apparently they're garnering enough, you know, tariff revenue to supplement any potential income tax cuts, or just like they get rid of it entirely. But I don't know. I don't even know how to weight like the probabilities of whether that's likely or not, because I don't even know the process. Like, he can't just executive order or approve something like that. Like, that's going to have to go through Congress at minimum. I don't even know what that would look like. But
yeah, I think too. Yeah, it'd have to go through Congress. That'd be pretty important. Now, I wonder where we can actually find how much revenue we're taking in from these tariffs. Like, I think that's a great question. Like, are we actually even bringing any money in? Like,
I don't know if the revenue is the question to me as much as, you know, are they going to let them stand constitutionally? You know, does the president have the authority to be able to institute tariffs? That's going to be a real question that we're going to have to reckon with over the next few months. And I don't know how the market would react to that, right? Because if we are bringing in a lot of revenue, then I would say rejecting the constitutionality of it would actually be really bad. Would be really bad for markets. But I don't know. I guess it's just going to depend on what the sentiment around the president is when they make that decision, right? Because I guess that's just kind of how the political landscape is these days, unfortunately. So we'll see. But it's funny how tariffs went from being this really bearish catalyst in April to now potentially being a really bullish one in December. I'm not really sure how to make of that from a sentimental analysis standpoint. What do you guys think about it? Like, tariffs were the most bearish thing in the world in April, and now they're potentially bullish in a few months. Is that a sign of the times, or do we think that's...
I actually put out a tweet about this when the tariffs were like really causing problems. Because if you'll think back at that time, Elon was actually, he was like hinting at the removal of like income tax. There were some like weird cryptic tweets about it. And at the time, him and Elon were pretty sticky. I said something along the lines of, it is somewhat unconstitutional and at minimum like very unfair to like implement tariffs, hence tax other countries, and then also tax your citizens domestically. It's kind of double dipping, right? So we didn't always have income tax here in the US. It was implemented to, I believe at the time, like subsidize wars. There were wars going on. It was a short-term solution to raise revenue to fund these wars. But then it was just sort of like kept going after that. And well, oh, you know, looks like everyone's all right with us taxing them. If there's a cause, let's just keep creating causes. And then they just left income tax, right? And it's just continued to get worse and worse and worse. And there's just more taxes every single year because there's more, you know, things that the government needs to spend money on, right? But for a long time, a majority of American history, if I'm not mistaken, tariffs actually served as the primary revenue source for the US government, our trade and taxation on trade, rather than taxing all Americans' individual income. So in a sense, right now, what we're seeing is kind of the double dipping effect, where everybody's still getting taxed out their asses, and we're also tariffing other countries. So there's a double dip going on. So it's like one of them should give, right? Either other countries pay for our shit or we pay for our shit via income tax. So I think it's perfectly natural. If Trump is trying to return America to its glory days, it would make sense that that is modified as well, right? complete the shift, right? So I don't know. It's not impossible, right?
What I
Maybe
think you have to be,
unlikely, but not impossible.
yeah, I like your points. I think what you have to be really careful of is if the markets start like building this bullish sentiment around no income tax because of the tariffs, because the income from the tariffs, and then they like say the tariffs are unconstitutional. I mean, things will unwind in a big way really quickly. So you have to be kind of careful there. But I mean, besides that, I mean, you made some really good points. I mean, historically, yeah, to your point, like federal income tax is not required. I mean, even to this day, like you can make, I mean, some people don't pay their federal income taxes because it's not actually required. And
Wait,
you know,
say that. What do you? It's not required.
yeah,
Sure
yeah.
feels like a requirement to me.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, you pay it and you're good. You don't pay it, you go to jail. So, am I missing something in my understanding of it?
Yeah, if there's this whole, it's called like the Freedom School or something like they teach, they literally like they like go into all the like law behind it and like how it's unconstitutional to like require federal income tax to be paid or
Well, I
have
think
to
it's
be paid.
unconstitutional, but it doesn't mean they're not going to throw you in jail if you don't pay
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's two things. I mean, yeah, power to the state, right? State tax is always required. Federal was not.
Dude, I
until,
got
like,
clobbered this year. And guess
Oh, yeah.
what? I got clobbered in Minnesota, and then all this fraud is just being exposed. And I'm like, good, that's so great. I just got clobbered. Had to pay so much to the state, and guess where it went? Little Mogadishu. Just robbed me blind, man. Insane.
Jackus, what are the taxes over in Europe?
I happen to know somebody who feels pretty strongly about.
They are way different, but pretty much the same. So, like, if I tell you that we have an income tax of 15%, it might sound that it's not much, but in reality, we have like like we have to pay different type of taxation, and in overall, you simply pay 2/3 of what comes. You like 2/3 of your income go to the government in any way, and I think it's the same in your country, pretty much like with the overall taxation, because you have to pay like for example, we don't have we have a government healthcare, right? So you have to pay. They call it health insurance, but in reality, it's just health taxation. You cannot opt out. You cannot say, "Hey, I'm not paying this." Right? I'm gonna pay for my own insurance in a different country or something. No, you still have to. You have to pay it. Then you have to pay the retirees. That's another taxation, and then you pay on the income, and then you pay on like Jesus, I have to translate it, but it's like a consumer tax. Basically, is when you
like a sales tax when you buy clothes or something or food.
Yeah, when you buy stuff, exactly, you have to pay tax with it too.
Yeah, we have that here.
Or like the company puts it into the price, right? So you just like pay for it, but the product would be much cheaper if the tax wasn't included in it.
Do you see the breakdown of like when you purchase something? Is it a separate line item on your receipt, or is it just kind of baked in? Okay, yeah, that's how we have it too. So it's like I think in Minnesota it's like around 7% or something. It's pretty high, but I don't know the exact number.
In Czech, it's like 15 to 23% on these products, and then like on specific products, like for example, when you buy gas at the station, right? It's much bigger. It's about 50% on gas. On cigarettes, it's really big.
Dude, they tax tobacco and tobacco products here in my state so crazy, man.
It is 90%.
People will drive across to Wisconsin, which is a bordering state of where I live, because the tobacco is like, it's like 50-60% cheaper than here in Minnesota. Like, it's crazy.
In Czech, what they do nowadays is that they drive over to Poland and buy cigarettes from there and then drive back to Czech. And or like in Egypt, which is like not that far away, and lots of people go there over to vacation. They have very cheap cigarettes because they are not burdened by the taxation. Like cigarettes, by its like like the cost of making them is very, very small. So people go over to Egypt and then buy cigarettes and then fly back. But you can only take only 1 or 2 cartons, I believe. Like I don't smoke, but people do it. And just lately, someone they caught someone having like a truck of cigarette cartons, and it was worth like 2 million in Czech pounds.
Oh my god!
Oh my goodness. Dude, there's some of you guys in the comments that are straight up going to jail. I'm reading these like tax comments. You guys are going to jail, all of you. Vegeta, you're going to jail, bro.
Vegeta,
you're going to jail, bro. He's like, it always felt like a scam, so I always figured out a way to pay nothing. I'm like, bro, you're going to jail, bro. I don't know. My philosophy, by the way, it's completely a scam, but I don't want to go to jail, so I just get clobbered. But here's the good news is when you show a lot of income and you pay a lot of taxes, you can go to the bank, show them that, and then they'll give you good debt, right? Like I can go get a great mortgage because I show hefty income and like I pay a lot of taxes. So they're like, oh, he's contributing, he's a part of society, and he's got like proof of that, So there's some benefits to it, I never have a tough time getting a loan, but I get clobbered, Vegeta, you're going to jail, bro. You're done.
Vegeta, bro. Vegeta.
The Vegeta's going to jail.
It's way too iconic of a character for you to mispronounce, Max.
So it's like when we are having the conversation regarding the taxes, right? In most countries, government builds the road, right? Not in all, and it can definitely be not done by the government, but in most it is, right? So you cannot expect the quality of your road to be like somewhat decent. Well, in Czech, we have a we have a meme for it, and it's called like. Right. If I'm able to add it.
All right. Let me.
It's called 50 Shades of Grey. Czech and Slovakian version.
That's hideous.
Is that what they look like?
Sometimes no. This is for real. Like lots of the time, like obviously not all, and they are trying to like fix it at least in the capital sometimes. But like it's horrible, man. So like when you said it, I think you used the word clobbered, which I'm not sure what it means, but like
it means
you
wrecked.
pay the taxes, they are pretty hefty, and then the roads look like this.
Yeah, that's like Minnesota because we've got bad winters. Some of the roads are destroyed. Manish, everybody avoids tax, to be honest. Tax avoidance is legal. Tax evasion is not. That's the big difference. Like you can work on ways to avoid it and reduce your liability, but you can't just be like, nah, fuck that. I'm not paying it. You're gonna be cooked, bro. You need to pay it. You need to pay it. Even if you're getting scammed. Trust me, there's like actual proof that I got scammed this year. Like Minnesota is under like extreme scrutiny right now for literally that. I got completely rug pulled by my government. But what am I gonna do? It is what it is.
You're gonna get rugged in crypto by the president.
I got rugged by my president in crypto, and then I got rugged by Tim Walz in the state of Minnesota. It is what it is, man. It's a sad state of affairs, Bro, I need to have you on the show. Do you want to come on here and tell us your strategies? Your tax
No, let's
your tax
not.
strategy.
Let's not.
All right. So Zcash looks pretty good.
Why?
Zcash looks horrible.
You know what's funny,
Zcash-
bro? Is there were some people. I'm not even trying to be a hater because Zcash was a fantastic trade. There were some people that were like, "This Zcash pump is different. Like, here's why." And then we were here on the show being like, every time Zcash pumps, look what happens to the market after. And then look what happened. Every time Zcash goes parabolic, it's like the end of times, you know?
By the way, you might want to study the prisoner's dilemma. I do not know.
What are they going to do? Arrest the entire country? Man, I would on the topic of Zcash though, because I want to stay on topic.
Do you want to talk about horse burgers first, or do you want to talk about Zcash? Just
do you guys think horse burgers are tax exempt?
oh, they should be.
Okay,
They might get tariffed because we'll probably import them from other countries, but
I'm not sure about
Study
horse
the
burgers, but we can talk
biotestosterone.
about horses for sure.
oh my god, that's an old picture. I forgot about that one.
I was thinking about getting a bagel, but I've decided not to. Thank you for that, Jackus.
You lost your appetite.
No, when you look at Zcash, the way that it trades, like during a run up, the run up is relentless, and then the fall. I mean, if you look back at previous Zcash price action, it is one-way traffic on the way down. I don't know where Zcash is going to bottom. Maybe it's already bottom. I don't really think this looks like that much of a bottom. But
Tommy, you don't really mean that. Maybe it's already bottomed. You don't mean that.
I don't really think it's a bottom, but I know it's mostly one-way traffic when Zcash does start to sell off. Like May 2021 is a really good example of this. Honestly, there are a lot of good examples in the history of that chart, but yeah, it's one-way traffic on the way down. And I almost feel like that's kind of how pretty much every altcoin is trading these days, where you get like the initial momentum drive higher, and then it just goes into perma bleed. We saw this a few weeks ago with Trump, Filecoin, Uniswap, ICP did this, where they squeeze shorts, they get a huge momentum move, and then there's no bid. It just bleeds. And that is what altcoins do right now. Probably because of the general liquidity drain on the market, but I have to think that Zcash is probably just going to keep puking. And in the same way that people shorted Zcash on the way up, right, they're probably going to try to long it too early on the way down. It's just altcoins are max pain anymore. Buy at the floors, hope you catch the pump. You should really take some profit if it pulls a 20x, because when
it goes 10x from there.
It's still a 10x from where a lot of Zcash people bought it. Like, so respect to them. I will say it is very strange to see people like gloating about, oh, you bought privacy, now you're poor. And it's like Zcash is still up over 10x from the lows, man.
That's the worst take ever.
XRP is still up 3x.
I've seen people yapping, like talking shit about it. Now I'm like, bro, like look at your altcoins, you know, like, like at least they're still up, you know. I just think Prometheus is probably right here. Like this doesn't, I mean, it could bounce a bit from here for sure. But talk about, Tommy, you were talking about that Bitcoin supply over 100. The Zcash supply over like 450. Huge, man. There is some real supply up there.
You know what was crazy on the timeline? And I mean, some people in the Discord, they're like, Zcash is at 350. You're not buying? It's up like 600% from the lows. I'm like, why would I ape in and chase this thing on the way up? Like, it just did not make any sense. I mean, it was literally up only. There was very, 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 very minimal pullbacks along the way. Yeah, and I mean, it was a great trade while it lasted, but it's like on to the next. It's nothing different than the other, 2 million shitcoins that are out there. It got its attention wave, and I hope you took profits on the way up.
They didn't, because it could 10x.
Yep, because it was going to 4,000 because your favorite KOL that was, pumping it.
Well, bro, weren't they pumping all the berry coins for a minute there?
Yeah, they were. I think Barry was a KOL.
He's like the king KOL, man. He's weak size, big,
I like that you drew the house.
Yep. Needs to be studied.
What price is that at?
200, 160, 167.
The only thing I'm missing is a room of that guy that is looking at his screen that's just full red. Yeah, I need a zoomed in version of his room.
We could put this guy up there.
Yeah, basically.
We could put him up here. That guy.
No,
funny thing is, I still think
this one.
Yeah,
well, that's a good one.
I still think Zcash is a great short, actually. Once you get confirmation that BTC is kind of rolling over here, I'm going to be hammering Zcash shorts. Because whatever they were doing with the funding to keep it so negative, and just like they were doing something funky with like the tokenomics or something. But I mean, they can't sustain it anymore. I think they're out of powder.
Spot bid and supply concentration.
Yeah,
that's what it was. And also shorts. I'm sure there were a lot of people fading the rally as well.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, I think what kind of hurt Zcash from being able to squeeze more was the launch of Monad, because you had a lot of these people shorting Zcash because it was the most volatile asset on the market at the time. So it's like, oh, I want to trade that. And there's a lot of attention, a lot of short-term attention shorts come in. You get these very violent squeezes. And Monad came out and all of those people started trading Monad. What is Monad doing, by the way?
Zero.
It was nuking. I don't know what it's doing now, though.
Zero.
Yeah.
It's going to get one of these, like if BTC bounces, and then you just go.
You think it goes that high?
Go.
Jackets.
Go.
You remind me of Jesus, what is the name? Sahil? I'm not sure, but when he goes like, "Just do it."
Yeah, I think Monad can come up into the shoulder.
I think it'll perform well if we get a larger rally here out of Bitcoin and alts, but
you think it pulls a pump?
It's an infrastructure play with the FDV is high. The circulating market cap isn't really like that high, I would say, relative to a lot of the other things that we've pumped in the past. If we can't pump Monad, that is pretty telling, I think, as well.
You know what I think Monad does is it pulls an Arbitrum.
Oh, man. Arbitrum launched at like 20 bill FDV, though. Might have even been higher than that, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we get one of these. You know, you can maybe see this, and then just hammer. Just hammer it. It'll get some scam pump. It'll eventually go to zero. I think the issue with Monad, or sorry, go ahead, Tommy.
No, I was just going to say maybe Mega ETH is going to be the next like new token to actually have a run. I'm not like really highly convicted in that, but it's difficult. I think it's much harder to push a chain with no users than it is to push effectively like an upgraded protocol on top of a chain that people are already on. Yeah, and also this, like we don't need more. We need more users.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We need more integration too. Like we need less of like, oh, Monad just partnered with Chainlink. Like nobody cares. You know, like you know, we need
The
like
Chainlink partnerships, man.
We need Verge partnered with Pornhub.
You're sick, Jackass. You're sick.
That happened.
Did it really?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
That was
over.
the biggest coin in 2017. And or like it had one of the best runs. And then they were like, we have a major partnership, like a huge company that's like, you know, that has millions of users. And I was so excited. And then the price was pumping, and then they were like, you can pay on Pornhub with Verge. And that that happened. They truly partnered, and you could have paid with Verge there. But yeah, price was nuking since then.
That's so bearish, bro. It's so bad.
He thought I was joking.
I literally thought you were joking. I thought you were making like a Czech joke because you guys are all sick.
No, this came from US people. That's where I learned how it works.
Maybe we're sick too then. I don't know.
Yes, you are.
2021
I mean,
was
isn't most of the porn coming from US anyway?
But per capita, you taught me this. Concentration is focused mostly in Czech per capita.
That's true. Well, at least the actress, but the companies, they are located in US.
Probably.
No, what this space needs is like Monad partnered with Facebook, and everybody's going to be using Monad for, you know, their whole customer and user base is using Monad for X, you know, reason, and Monad's able to monetize it. Like that's what needs to happen.
Honestly, I'm kind of glad you brought up Facebook, because they made like a very they fumbled something that nobody's really talked about for probably like a year, but in hindsight, it looks like a big mistake. They were going to launch their own stablecoin, Libra, and they ended up binning those plans like a year before stablecoins got really hot. So I remember that.
Yeah. That was huge. Huge.
Jackass is the goon squad. There's some interesting family lore about myself, kind of in regards to that conversation. If you guys can believe it, my uncle was a director at one point within that space.
Here it comes.
That's I'm not sharing anything else more than that, but
Have we looked at MSTR?
No. You need to share more than that, Tommy.
I'm not sharing more than that publicly. No way.
This picture then makes a lot of sense. Now we know it was real.
I'm not trying to follow in his footsteps, but he's a very smart man.
I think MSTR will stop bleeding the moment that Saylor can figure out how to stop diluting his shareholders and actually bring value to them. Because as of right now, yeah, never. I mean,
okay. I just wanted to be clear on what you were saying. So
yeah.
Okay.
We just weird, like convoluted way in saying it's
the only way that they get out of this is if Bitcoin goes to like 250K. That's it.
And they have to sell half their book. Like,
Then they can
Can't
sell their
they-
book, pay down the debt, and then just own the Bitcoin without any overhang at all. But I don't
Yeah.
think they'll ever sell any of the Bitcoin to do that. But I think they
Can't
have
they-
to eventually.
Can't they buy more Bitcoin, like a lot more Bitcoin at 150K? I know
Well,
that's
what
very
they're gonna
hard
do.
to hear
That's
now.
the problem. So if Bitcoin goes to 150K and their stock starts ripping, which it would, they're just going to raise more money and buy more Bitcoin, and then their cost basis is going to be like 100K instead of 74. But what they should do, again, I'm speaking as a relatively very, very poor person compared to them. So, whatever. But objectively, I think the best thing that they could possibly do would be to restructure it. They hit an amazing trade, doubled their money, 74K cost basis. It goes to 150 or higher. Sell some, pay down all the debt, own that Bitcoin, literally scot-free, no debt, no overhang. Then like their company would never be stronger. Like it would never be stronger. Actually start trying to trade Bitcoin instead of just like raising a bunch of money when your stock inflates, dilute the shareholders, shove more Bitcoin. I think that can only work for so long, right? I mean, they own like 3.1% of the Bitcoin supply right now with billions in debt. I don't think it's sustainable. I hope Michael Saylor ends up being the wealthiest man to ever live. I really do, because that would mean that I end up being very wealthy as well, right? But it's like, I just don't know if he can get away with it forever.
He can't
Tommy,
keep
why are you
getting
smirking?
away with it.
Tommy's smirking.
I don't want Michael Saylor to be the wealthiest person alive, but I don't think that has to mean that you can't make a lot of money too.
Well, I can play downside. That's fine.
That's not what I mean. I mean, I just think we can flush him out of the market and then still. I really think that's why we haven't seen a more tangible plan for the SBR. People want to cite the budget concerns. I don't think that's the primary reason. I think it's because they don't want to buy all of Saylor's debt-ridden Bitcoin. Personally,
the issue is they can't service that debt as of right now. That's the biggest issue. There's no underlying cash flow in the company itself that holds the Bitcoin. And as the MNAV erodes, they can't create any more new debt to service the old debt. So the flywheel stops and breaks, right? And then it becomes a negative feedback loop, and you then have a structure that collapses in on itself. So, unfortunately for MicroStrategy, it truly is just a case you need Bitcoin to just continue to go up and up and up and up and up and up as of right now. And then hopefully you get to the point where, like Max said, to where you can just sell off half your stack on the other stack for free. We'll see where it goes. Interesting spot here locally on the chart. You're kind of sitting at, the POC. Makes sense for a bounce here. I just think the fundamentals are eroding pretty significantly. But if MicroStrategy can get to the point where they can sell off part of their stack, transitioning towards an actual bank, I think kind of makes sense for them. Whether it's Bitcoin lending or whatever that may be.
I think they just need to pivot somehow. I just don't know if I fully believe in the Bitcoin pumps, our stock pumps. We dilute shareholders, we raise money, we shove more Bitcoin. I just don't think that will work forever. But I could be totally wrong. Maybe it's that simple.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I think he has plans for it, but as of right now, they can't shift because of how precarious, their current position is. I think that's the main issue.
I think it does. It is quite telling that MicroStrategy bought Bitcoin at such a lower rate than it did before, and the market immediately sold, had the worst 5-month performance in years. Like MicroStrategy, for those who aren't aware, they bought 20,000 Bitcoin in the last 5 months. They bought 180,000 Bitcoin in the 7 months before that. So obviously a very substantial difference there. And you will note that the 5-month performance since like July, I think that's probably the 5-month performance date. Since like July is the worst. It's the worst that we've had since the bull run started. So you need MicroStrategy to either start buying again or for somebody to step in and, I mean, it could be Vanguard, right? Like I don't want to discount Vanguard because the flows that we got yesterday were enormous. So I think we know like who our next marginal buyer is, but if MSTR stock keeps sliding, they're probably going to have to sell Bitcoin. Like that's just a reality. They can't get margin called. They can't be liquidated. Well, they said if the MNAV goes below 1, they're probably going to sell Bitcoin. So you tell me what the difference between for selling at that point is just semantics. It's still happening.
I think their CEO went on CNBC to talk about those rumors. He claimed they're not going to be selling for at least 4 years. But I don't know. I didn't watch the full clip. I just saw a headline.
Because that's when they have to service the debt, which is in 2028 and then 2030 and 2032. That's why.
So you better hope that Bitcoin is way higher at that 4-year mark.
Yeah, I mean, they're all in. It's all or nothing, literally.
Binance rolled out Binance Junior today.
What?
What the hell is that?
What is Binance Junior?
A parent-controlled app and sub-account for kids and teens. Build family-focused crypto savings and prepare your child for a future.
Bruh,
You know what they want? They want parents to gamble the money that the kids are going to get from the government.
Binance Junior? What is this, like Nickelodeon and Nick Jr.? What is going on?
Binance Junior. That's so funny, man. That's
genius. They're running out of people to scam, it seems.
You want your kids to be in poverty? Okay. Here's the junior version. Like, what? All right.
You gotta love it.
Well, do you?
Yeah.
Turn our 4-year-olds into hyper gamblers.
You know what actually looks decent to me is Bitcoin Cash. Am I allowed to say that? No. I'm serious. It does in some ways remind me of Litecoin before the October move down, but like if the market starts moving higher, low key, this is I think this is something to watch. Now, from a similar structure, Litecoin gave us a move higher, like a 5 to 10% move higher, and then obviously dumped like 50%. But if you think Bitcoin goes up, I think Bitcoin Cash will go up more.
I think this looks kind of similar to what XMR did, or where XMR was at before it saw its bounce.
Yeah, but Monero has utility. Does Bitcoin Cash has one?
Have you heard about Bitcoin SV?
I heard about Bitcoin Gold.
Did you know, Jackus, that Monero got listed on Hyperliquid last night for perps?
Oh.
Yep.
Very nice. I didn't hear that. So that's a good one. So an immediate rug pull then? Did I sell all my coins?
I do think it's like generally bullish that XMR doesn't have that many futures markets.
Me too. I wish it had more spot markets, but maybe it's a good thing too. Like maybe the bullish case is that you cannot buy it that easily.
I always thought that was the bull case, right? Like you have everything else that can be manipulated, but Monero trades in so few places that it's actually a benefit.
I was saying one of the bullish cases for me was that I believe February 24 drop, because that's when it got delisted from all the major exchanges, and there was no continuation. And then when it managed to flip that bottoming range in 2025, like that was the signal to me to be in. And yeah, I just hope it keeps on going.
What is that?
EOS.
Man.
Dude, the
Yes.
dot chart is gross.
There are so many coins that are like that right now, where they're at a level where, you're thinking they've got to bottom here. They have to bottom here. I was talking to Jackus about this before we went live. The coin I couldn't believe, for one, where it was trading when I looked yesterday. It's like 8 cents now. It's so low. You're thinking, when you see a chart like this, and I think there are a lot of other altcoins that this is applicable to right now, like this has to be a double bottom, right? We have to bounce. Otherwise, we're making new lows, and who even knows where the bottom is? And as you saw with DOT, it's making new lows. I look at PopCat, another cat coin, making new lows. It's hard to expect a bottom on these things until Bitcoin shows us the way, right? I don't know. I mean, there's so many coins, man. I don't even want to beat the drum again today, but there are just so many freaking coins. Liquidity is so dispersed.
I said this before, that the best bullish case is just a massive delisting season.
I think you're spot on there. Binance, looking at you. Start delisting.
Yeah, but they delisted Monero instead. and then they list stuff like, I don't even know, like, yeah.
All right, Tommy, that's time, brother. Take us out.
Looks like it. All right, guys. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to Market Check. A reminder that we do these shows all throughout the week whenever the New York Stock Exchange is open. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You can catch us. Our typical start time being around 11:15 to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, also make sure to finish up your day with Market Talk, hosted by the legendary King Wabi. And we do those shows now at the same time, so there's no variance, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure to tune in for those spaces, hosted by not only King Wabi, but the Because Bitcoin X account. That's how you can be notified when we schedule those spaces, and also, of course, when we go live. But also, we've had a lot more team members hopping on Market Talk here recently, our X Spaces show. So if you are looking for more information, maybe in just more of like an audio format or podcast format, rather than, here on this panel while we talk charts, you can catch us there as well. But Wabi's been kicking butt with the market recently, so definitely tune in. Those spaces have been lively. They, if you were around back before the inception of BB in like 2022, then you kind of know what I mean when I say that. Like the bear market spaces were just very different in a good way, And I almost kind of feel like that's what we've seen over the last few weeks. So they've been really entertaining recently. Definitely tune in. And obviously we'll be speaking there too. So, but that's it from us, guys. We hope that you've had a great day, or we hope that you have a great rest of your day. I guess if you're in Europe, you've already had a day. Hopefully it was a good one. Regardless, we'll be back for another episode tomorrow at the times that I stated. But until then, thank you again, as always. Hit the like button on your way out if you haven't. And of course, stay safe.
Tired of outdated trading tools? confused charts, dozens of tabs, endless stress? You're not alone. Introducing BB Terminal, your all-in-one command center for crypto trading. Track your portfolio, monitor the markets, stay ahead, all in one place. From chaos to clarity, from struggle to success. BB Terminal,